incumbency, it's easier to win an election and to stay in office because you know how many people are going to come out and vote, and you know how many people you have to get out. And also too, you got to look at the fact you may put three or four people up in a race to run. Because when I ran for office, I ran in an eight-man race, and I came in a strong second, but I had about five or six other people who diluted my votes, and they pulled votes. I only lost that race by like three or four
All
hundred
right,
votes.
all right.
So
Let me say this. Let me say this. What difference would you think the Democrats would have been doing right now opposed to Trump? What difference would you think they would have been doing right now opposed to Trump?
I believe the stimulus package would have looked a little bit different. It would have been more worker oriented, and there probably would have been much more responsibilities, or much more control set in, so big corporations couldn't get all this obscene amount of money and spend it the way they want to spend it and think that they're helping the economy out. I think they would have put in more restraints, as they did what they had to do under the talk money. They had to actually go back. Elizabeth Warren, that's why I like Elizabeth Warren. She actually was one of the authors in laying out the regulations so these corporations didn't just get free welfare from the government, and if they had to, some of them had to pay it back. Some of them had to show step by step how they paid the money, do accounting, and show, how the money was spent, where the money went, and justify it.
But that's good talk. That's good talk. You know what I mean? That's good talk. That's
That's a reality. That's not just talk.
That's good talk. But that's like saying, let's follow that one sheet goes that way and all the sheets goes that way. That's good talk. You know what I mean? Because by the end of the day, what really would they do other than what you just said? You understand what I'm saying? You can't tell what they did. They could have been stumbling right now trying to figure out what to do other than trying to get the hospitals the necessary needs that they need. They would have been stumbling right now thinking how much money they should give the people for not working. You understand what I'm saying? They could have been stumbling right now. That's what I'm saying.
What Trump is doing, but what the Republicans are doing through Trump is textbook. When there's any type of economic meltdown, or the stock market goes bad and it's at depression stages, government has to step in and infuse money into the economy. This is textbook. So what you're saying, your criticism to me to me has no basis, because this is textbook of what any president, Democrat or Republican, would have done. So I don't know what the difference would be. Oh.
Yes, I understand, but you cannot say the Democrat is better than the Republican, because at the end of the day, well, if that's the party you're running for, then you can say that. You understand what I'm saying? But people are getting tired of, the ones that have a little money in their pocket and they got a home to live in and they feel comfortable, well, they're going to do whatever the other sheep is doing. You understand what I'm saying? But the ones that is tired of going over the same stuff all the time, bro. People are tired of that, bro.
Well, how have you benefited from being a Republican? Bring it home, because everything is relevant. How have you benefited directly from being a Republican? Tell me.
I can't answer that question. And I can't answer that question for the Democrats either. I still wouldn't be able to answer that question for the Democrats either, because the poor people are still where they are. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, I can honestly say, because
and when I say poor people, I don't think I'm not talking about a person that just refused to go to work. You understand? I'm talking about a basic person that even the low wages, low income people, it's like long it takes for y'all for people to just for them to just give them a raise or something.
Well, let me say this, but that's why I want to ask you. If you are so embedded with the Republicans and you say that you are a proud Republican and you support the Republican Party and you support something different, my question to you, because you're not just supporting the Republicans because of a whole historical reason, you're supporting them because they have benefited you directly. And I'm asking you, because I'm going to point out in a few minutes, if you're unable to, how supporting the Democratic Party and falling in line with the Democratic Party has benefited me financially, socially, and politically.
I'd like to ask a question before you go any further, Chris. You pointed something out. You said you liked Elizabeth Warren. I guess you backed her when she was running. That's probably a girl or whatever. And I can understand.
No, I didn't back her. I supported Bernie. I'm a supporter of Bernie Sanders. I just liked Elizabeth Warren.
Okay, because I was about to say, out of everybody, Bernie did more for blacks than anybody else that was up on that stage, if you ask me. So at least let me recant that statement. Bernie got locked up. He did this. He was always marching with blacks more than anyone else that was on that stage. So let me recant that statement. But I just figured I'd mention that. So I was just wondering if you missed that part, but I guess you didn't. Okay.
Well, let me say this. There were the only other two blacks on the stage who were Democrats was Cory Booker and Harris. And I couldn't support Harris or Booker because Booker had some issues when he was the mayor of Newark. He allowed Newark to be gentrified. And two, and living in a city like New York, I'm anti-gentrification, economically and socially. And two, I couldn't support Elizabeth. I couldn't support Harris. What's her name from California?
Warren.
What's
Yeah,
not from the senator from
Kamala Harris. Sorry.
Kamala. I couldn't support Harris from the senator from because she had. I'm a big supporter of criminal justice reform, and when she was the attorney general, she chose to opt out prosecuting two officers that had killed two young black men, and she did not prosecute those officers. Those officers should have been prosecuted. The evidence was clear, and those officers should not be working or shouldn't be. They should be locked up somewhere. She chose not to. She chose to play politics on that, and I couldn't support her on that. I didn't believe that her criminal justice credentials were there.
So is Trump doing anything? Is the president of the United States right now doing anything that you agree with, or everything he does you don't agree with?
Everything that Trump has done has not been to the benefit of this country. He has said it, make America great again, but everything he's done has been to divide the country, to be a xenophobe, to be a racist, to be a sexist.
Now I keep hearing this racist. Could you just elaborate on that?
Well, he obviously, his comments, he's insensitive to black folks. Remember when he made the comment at a campaign rally, oh, there go my black people, or there my African Americans. That's insensitive. That's being very insensitive and then he's attacked certain black leaders, prominent black leaders. Like he called Maxine Waters a Looney Tune, a black woman. That's you can't be a misogynist. You can't. You're gonna call a prominent black congressional woman who chairs a prominent black.
But also, Chris, please, and you must understand this. When he makes a statement like that, he makes it to everybody. The playing field goes to blacks, white, Chinese. He doesn't give a crap. So we cannot just say, Chris, we cannot just say that this man makes a statement like this solely to black people, because that's not true. He calls
he
what?
Well, he's an equal opportunist.
Equal opportunist.
He's an equal offender.
Yes.
Just because he's an equal offender, being the president of the United States, you're the president of everybody, and you can't make statements. You can't talk about people with disabilities. You can't make misogynist comments about women on their period. I mean, reality
And I-
in the United States, therefore, it matters. You can't have a Muslim ban and ban Muslims. What do you think?
Yeah, but if you get kicked in the knee, just like if somebody kick you in the knee, just expect to get kicked back in the knee. Yeah? You understand what I'm saying?
You can attack people on their policy, but you should not go after someone's physical appearance. I don't care what type of disability you got. If we disagree on a policy, let's have an honest debate about that. But I'm not going to talk about you being a paraplegic or someone who served our country and talk about their physical appearance. Or he talked about one political candidate, he talked about her face, talked about she was an unattractive woman and no one should vote for her. I wouldn't vote. You know, there's a level of decorum that has to exist. And it may be funny, but it doesn't, it's not good for our country.
Yeah, but Chris, Chris,
Listen to this. You know, go ahead.
Chris, real quick, that doesn't make him a racist because he bakes cracks on everybody. You understand? I'm just asking. I mean,
it doesn't make him a racist, but there are levels where he has made racist comments.
I understand, but he does it to everybody, not just blacks, not just whites, not just the crippled, not just the fat. He makes a comment of everybody. He just named the coronavirus.
So right.
He just named the virus the Chinese virus. I mean, the man, that's just who he is. That's just who he is. We want to change.
But what I'm saying is that I don't care if it's him being a racist. I don't care if it's him being a xenophobe. I don't care if it's him being a homophobe. I don't care if it's him being a misogynist. I don't care if it's him being whatever he is, whatever ism he is, that he adapts. I'm saying that it's not right. And as a president of the United States, you should not be engaging in that type of stuff.
Nobody said no, but this is not the average president. I don't even think this guy was Block Association president before. He's not the average president. We want to change. This is a change. This guy was nobody. This guy showed that you can come to the United States and become who you want to become. This is the country of land opportunity. I was into politics. I ran and I won. He showed that. You can't deny him for that. So you got to give the man some kind of credit for that.
I give him a credit. We got changed, but it's just that. So when Obama was president, nobody liked Obama because he was black. And if you remember at that time, there were government shutdowns and everything. Like Congress didn't agree with what Obama was saying, what Obama was doing. So they would cut off their nose just to spite their face. They would shut down the country just to make sure that Obama didn't get his way. So this change that you're talking about, like America been racist, been misogynistic, been screwed up, but the only thing is Trump is saying what these people are thinking. So they're like, oh shoot, now let me not get my southern accent on, but let me say, it's like all those people that feel that way, that are some type of racist or some type of misogynistic, they see Trump and they're like, yo, like I said, he is saying and he's doing what we're thinking. So let's bring him into the office so we can have some type of quote unquote normalcy for them.
Okay, so let me answer. Let me do a little survey real quick. Which one of you guys, Carl, since Trump been in office, did it affect you? Yes or no? Yes or no question?
No, it didn't affect
All right, Mikey, since Trump been in office, did it affect you? Jesus, Mikey. Wow. Okay, we're gonna come back to Mikey in a minute. Angela, did it affect you?
I'm not the one thinking about it.
Hasn't affected me.
It didn't affect you, right?
Hasn't affected. No.
Okay. Pat, did it affect you?
In a way.
How did it affect you? Yeah.
Can I say one thing?
Absolutely.
It's not going to affect. It's not going to affect intelligence.
Oh yeah. I mean,
You understand?
I didn't hear you,
It's going
Carl.
to affect the people who's not. Hello?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Yeah, listen. It's going to affect the ignorant people. That's all, the people that don't think for themselves.
Well, you got.
Sir, I find it to be offensive. One.
Call from Dij.
people who disagree with Trump.
Dig, is that do we think Trump is helping the country, hurting the country, or it just doesn't matter?
In and out. I can't hear you.
I said, do we think that Trump is helping the country, hurting the country, or is just the same? And that's what the conversation is right now. We have we have Chris Banks on the phone, and we also have Angela, who's a real estate tycoon here, that self-made millionaire. So we just wanted to know how are we being affected by it? Are you being affected by Trump being president or no, Monty?
No, the whole country's being affected by it.
You really, how does it affect you though? How does it affect you? How does it affect you?
He's part of the country, like, obviously, yes.
I mean, everybody's affected personally. I mean, like, it affects your dollar, it affects the money, it affects the market, it affects your investments. I mean, it affects everything, bro. It affects taxes in the years coming up. It affects the deficit. I mean, it does affect everybody. It does. I mean, like, you know, his decisions to downplay this pandemic when he saw it coming like a freight train, to downplay it as a Democratic hoax. You know, you're a Democrat or Republican, that's your business. But it was his job to defend the country, and he failed. He failed miserably. Now we're playing catch up.
That's right.
And now people are scared in New York, right? So guess what? The people that feel like they feel good and they show no symptoms, they running back to Kentucky and Missouri and Montana. But guess what? Not all of them are well. And guess what they taking back? Guess who's coming home for dinner? And it spreads, and it spreads, and it spreads, and it spreads. And the beat goes on. And it's something that, you know, that we're going to be paying for. Now he's talking about we don't need that many ventilators and all that much medical equipment. This is just the first one. This is not the only pandemic to come. It's the first one in a long time. We're going to have other ones. You need this medical equipment. We obviously didn't have it on standby. You need it. He don't want to have it there. If you don't need it, if you don't use it for this one, you'll use it for the next one.
Yeah, we're in a situation like that. Well, you know, enough is never enough. You know what I mean? I understand.
Oh my God.
Right.
You guys really a Trump lover.
You err on the side of caution. Oh yeah, we bought $50 million worth of too much medical equipment. But look, nobody died extra behind that. As opposed to we were short $50 million worth of equipment and 20,000 people died. Come on.
Yeah, but
and to chime in on that, we're the greatest country on the face of the planet. The reality is that we got caught with our pants down, and we got caught sleeping.
But why?
hold on, fellas. Ladies speaking. Angela, go ahead.
Do you really think we are the greatest country?
I do feel that we are the greatest country because there is a lot of opportunity in this country. What I'm saying is that even though we are the greatest country, doesn't mean we don't have an evil, wicked past. Everyone has a past. Everyone has a past. If you look back 10, 20 years ago, they weren't what they were now and what they were done. And racism, right? And racism is all over the world. But when the United States has a past of racism and it's current to this day. But what I'm saying is that strategically, we are the greatest country. I'm not trying to say that we don't get colds and flus and we don't get sick ever so often. But we are the greatest country.
Let me ask you a question. Compared to China, how do we measure up?
Well, China has a bigger population than us. I mean, they're about 1 billion people. We're about a little bit under 400 million folks. Our military surpasses China. When it comes to, we have more nuclear weapons than China. I mean, you name it. I could break down economically, we're doing better than China. I mean, China owes us more money than we owe them money.
Who's talking? No, listen, America owes China
Yeah.
more than you think.
Do you agree with that statement?
Do I agree with him? What do you, 1 second, gang. What are you asking me, Angela, what are you asking me?
I'm asking, how do we measure up with China?
Uh,
And you heard his response.
Right, but apparently he hasn't.
Yeah, well, America owes China $1 trillion right now.
Right, and how much does China owe the United States? They owe us. That's not true. I'll do the research. China owes us much more money. China has more national debt, a higher national debt than we do, and our national debt that we have is maybe about, I think it's about half of our GDP.
I looked it up. The U.S. debt to China is 1.7 trillion.
Yes,
That's what I'm saying. America owes China.
America owes China a lot of money, my friend.
Okay, but
The whole world owes China right now.
They're right. They're absolutely right. He's absolutely right, Chris.
okay, but just because we have, but let me say this, ma'am. Listen, just because we have, yes, ma'am. Just because we have debt with China, as big as the United States economy is, it's good debt that we have with China. It's actually good debt that we have with China compared to our GDP.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
It's not bad debt.
I'm just saying, you're saying that, America is far more superior country. That's what you're saying,
Yeah.
right?
We are, our government structure-wise, we're much more superior because I believe in this country, we're a democratic-based government. In China, it's communist rule. It's an authoritarian. The president of China, or the leader of China, is a communist dictator. So we're obviously a better country than China, and we're more superior than China.
Yeah,
I mean,
at the end of the day, we have to say, what America is, because we live here and we have to support here.
Exactly.
America is.
You want to move to China? I want to move to China.
America is.
Well, go to China. Go to China.
Hello. Let me.
At the end of the day, we have to love America.
Mike.
Be here in America than China.
Mike, can I interrupt, please? Can I interrupt? I got to interrupt on this one. So apparently, none of you guys have been to China to make those comments. Chris, you're 100% wrong about China. 100% wrong about China. When you get there, it's a totally different world. I know that, we learned in school that communism is a guy beating you on your back and you got to jump and you got to do this. It's nothing like that. They do have strict rules, and strict rules usually go for the criminals. Their technology is out of this world. I've never seen technology like that before in my life. But one thing you have to realize about the Chinese government, they don't they prefer you know nothing about them. So if you want to say, hey, we're great in them, they're fine with that. They don't care. They don't care at all. They do not care. You can say you're better than them. They don't care. They're not show-offs. They have a lot of people. They don't have, I didn't see, for the place that I was there, I didn't see any poverty. Everybody ate. Whether they didn't like what they ate, but everybody worked. So, and when you get to a certain age, you didn't work anymore. They were strict on what you do. So most of the time, if you're a street cleaner and your kids grow up, they'll be street cleaners also. So, but China has plenty of money, Chris.
I got a question.
China has plenty of money.
Everybody works in China, right? There's no type of welfare programs or nothing like that?
No, I didn't say that. I'm saying to you is that everybody mainly works there. So when you're a certain age, I'm sure if you're sick or something, but everybody works. Most people work. You in the morning time, you see, there's thousands and thousands of people in the train station on their way to work. I didn't see the homeless situation there. I'm not saying they don't have it. I didn't see it. I didn't see the. I see. Like I said again, the safety measures they have there It's unbelievable. You
Yeah,
could.
well, if they stop sending all the businesses over there to be produced, then everybody should be working over here.
Well, yes, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
Why is
you're right.
America? Why is America hiring Chinese companies to build certain parts of their infrastructure, like bridges?
Well, yeah, because they,
and roads?
Carl, they built a bridge. They built a bridge that is hours long, going from Macau to Hong Kong, from Hong Kong to Macau. They built this really super long bridge, man, that you're going to be on there for over an hour, and you can look it up, Angela. If you're near your computer, you can see.
I see. I'm saying that's one of the reasons I'm saying their technology got to be better if America is hiring them. to
Right.
build
So
bridges
the
in
techno.
America.
So I mean,
Well, let me say this.
Cheap labor.
what? But
Cheap labor, right? And let me say this. Half of the
They do it fast.
but listen, it's better you have cheap labor than no labor. Don't you think so? Don't you
Are there
think?
unions? Are there unions in China?
I listen.
Are workers'
Listen.
rights protected? Are women's rights protected?
I
in
don't
China?
listen. I don't get that deep into the people's business. I'm not going to sit here and make up something I don't know. But I could tell you one thing is that
Well,
the
I
places.
ask you a question: has China is not listed as a protector of women's rights
I don't know.
in China?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. I didn't get that deep into people's business.
According to the UN, China is not top of the list. They're very low on the pound pole.
Okay.
On the totem pole
Okay.
when it comes to protecting women's rights.
Okay.
They have
Oh, you know that's
population
not
control
propaganda,
policies.
But I can tell you one thing. You don't see a bunch of people
You can
begging.
go to the-
You don't see a bunch of people begging. Not at all. Not a bunch of people begging.
Well, let me say
And
this. If you go to North, let me say this too.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to North Korea, you don't see nobody begging.
listen, I've been to South Korea. I've never been to North Korea.
I want,
But let me say this.
but I'm just saying.
Let me say this to
You
you.
can't probably go to North Korea. You can't go to North Korea.
Well, they used to have day trips. They stopped the trips. But what happened is that, let me say this to you. If you get on the train in China and you're a woman, and if you got a little age on you, you'll get about 5 or 6 people going to get up and let you sit down. New York City, that's not gonna,
You're breaking up. You're breaking up.
I said, if you get on the train and you're a kid or a woman or elderly man, they would get up and let you sit down before anybody else. So you're not going to just do something to a woman and get away with it. That's not going to happen either. So so I don't know what you're saying about women's rights. They don't treat women like, they don't treat them crazy or anything.
Well, when I'm saying women rights, we're talking about protections when it comes to work environments.
But everybody has the same rights there. Everybody has the same rights. So a woman's not going to have more than a man. Man's not going to have any more than a woman. They just have the same rights. I don't see any difference when I go into a store to buy something.
China's been known to cut off the internet too when they're going through their any type of when there's civil unrest.
Mm-hmm.
They've cut off the internet. When have you ever heard of a democratic country like the United States? Even when we're protesting, and I've protested in Black Lives Matter, I've protested against police brutality. I got arrested quite a couple of times.
Congratulations.
My internet service never got cut off.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just saying, I'm saying that to say in a democratic country where part of our constitutional right is the freedom to protest and to dissent the government. I didn't have to worry about my internet being cut off by the government. I didn't have to worry about, certain things, certain rights being trampled on to a degree,
Mm-hmm.
because of my protests.
Okay, so
In China,
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that's the case.
okay, so Chris, what happened? What they do have
What's the
though?
point of this statement right there?
Well, one second, Carl. What they do have, Chris, is that I heard you say it about the internet. I think that comes from, as you know, the internet have taken over countries. They've had protests behind everybody getting on, and next thing you know, everybody meets in some square and they destroy the whole country. So they have over 1 billion people. If they get that, they can't control those people. They have to control those people some kind of way.
Just imagine if they didn't have this kind of censorship. I mean, like
Exactly.
as far as restriction, they wouldn't control this.
You couldn't control all those people. How are you gonna control all those
They
people?
couldn't.
You couldn't control all those people.
That's why we have the problem here.
That's
No,
exactly.
but we're not talking about protesting, we're not talking about, no. We're not talking about an outbreak of a virus. We're talking about civil disobedience for something, an injustice, that I think government doing something that was wrong,
Try to
that we
do it in
disagree with.
America and see if you don't have civil disobedience. Try to do what China did to control that.
Right, but sir, let me ask you this. Oh, right, because you know what? There's intel and there's aerial intel that the United States government took that shows that there's mass graves in China, and not only mass graves, but it's also shown that China has burnt bodies. They actually have mass cremations that they've been doing.
Isn't that the smart thing to do if you have a virus that's spreading? And that
Well, let me say-
could contaminate.
Well, yes, I agree with the corona, because they're saying that the coronavirus too, at the same time, that you have to, that a lot of the funeral parlors, if they are taking any bodies, which they're really not, they have to cremate them. They can't bury them because they said in the body, nobody wants to embalm a body with corona because you can still catch it.
I put it in the ground.
Right, but you're making it seem like China's doing something wrong, Chris. Why are they doing something wrong if they're burning the
Well, let me
bodies?
say this. I've never been to China, Gerard, and I do agree with you. I've never been to China. I don't know who you. I know you have been to China. You have an extensive a rap sheet in China. But let me say this. Still, I'm a studier of international politics, and China is not a place I would like to live when it comes to freedom of speech and democratic values that I can afford to deal with. Freedom of speech is respected here. In China, if the government hears you talking about them or dissenting against them, they could have you jailed.
And Chris,
They follow the same policies as Russia.
Chris, but you must understand why. There are too many people. They have to control. They have to have some kind of control. If they just let people just get out there and shoot off with the mouth, like we talked about earlier, you got a guy with a big mouth. All he has is a big mouth. He doesn't have no brains. And a bunch of people
But
start.
they do it secretively. We just don't know. The FBI starts following you after you start saying certain things. You didn't know that? They put you on the radar.
You know what?
Who wants to live like that? Who wants to live like that?
You know what I have to say about that? As a black person, no racist stuff here. As a black person, where would you think you would get the opportunity that you can get, that you would have right now, or you can get? Would you get it better in China, or would you get it in the U.S.? I believe you would get it better in the U.S. because I have never traveled to China. You understand me? But as far as the opportunity, because I'm here, I think you are more federal, and you know.
Wait. Wait. As a black, could you say that again, please? Can you say that one more time? As a black person, what? As a black person, what did you say?
I mean,
Mikey,
there is opportunity here in this country.
he's saying there's better opportunity in this country than in China?
Better opportunities.
As a black person?
Yeah, and listen, the proof is in the pudding. We have the largest immigration issue. People are not running to China. They're not climbing their borders. People from Taiwan and Japan, wherever in Asia Minor, they're not running up to go to China for freedom. United States has
Chris, again, you haven't been there. You have people that go live in the UK, they go live in Europe, and they go straight back to China and live out the rest of their years. They make some money someplace, they go back to China and live out the rest of the years. They're safe there.
I'm talking about illegal immigration.
No, because we're a lot more lax with illegal immigration. Somebody comes across a border here, we'll give them driver's license. Taxpayers will take care of them. So we'll do that. They're not going to do that in China. So there's a big difference. So we start complaining. Well, we got to pay more tax. We have to do this, do that, which is understandable. And everybody wants freedom, so we help everybody out, which is no problem. But they're not into that. That's why they don't play.
One of the reasons why everybody runs to America, not just because of the opportunities, but because it's a country, it's a melting pot. You could walk over here and blend in easy. You can't go to China and blend in.
You cannot blend in China. And so the reality is that this is the greatest country because of those values.
I didn't say it's not a great country. I love this country.
I said it's the greatest. I didn't say it's not. It's the greatest country because we're a melting pot, and people from the Caribbean, from wherever, can come to this country.
That's right.
My parents immigrated. Well, my mother immigrated from the Caribbean here, so it was a melting pot. In that time, the '60s, when my mother came in, Caribbeans weren't accepted. There were all types of slurs and troughs so that Caribbeans.
Because of the history, everybody
And
believes that they have the right to be here.
Well, listen, a black man has the right to be in every part of this earth because we're the originators. We're the cradle of civilization. So we have national citizenship, we have global citizenship, whether they want to accept it or not.
So the way this country
You just go to customs and just throw them back to your hand and they'll let you through.
As a black man in China, they're waiting to hear you open your mouth and say something because the Africans are migrating over there so much that they think everybody is an African. As a black man going over there from America or anything else, they're waiting for you to open your mouth and say something before they could say, okay, oh yeah, oh you American. You understand what I'm saying?
But why would you want to go over there and say something offensive to them? If you're a visitor, why?
It's not offensive. They're just waiting for you to.
What if you want to criticize the government? What if you criticize the government for a policy that's preventing you from making money? You have a right. Should you have a right to do that?
Why would you
No,
want to?
no, you can't do that. You can't do that.
Why?
They have a simple policy, but because their policy is very simple, the simplest policy you ever want to find, Chris. If you don't like our policy, don't come. That's it.
Exactly.
If you don't like our policy, don't come and change us. If you don't like our policy, don't
Let
come.
me say this, but that's not. And I understand that that's there. But what I'm saying is that, in this country, we empower people to speak against the government and to criticize the government and to vote. And if you dislike the government, you vote the party out. You vote this. What will you want to vote for? We have a right to have a different opinion of things, and we believe that the majority wins.
Yeah, but Chris,
And we protect the minority.
listen to this. Listen to what you got here. We had Como a while back that was totally against recreational marijuana for a long time because he kept saying it was a gateway to harder drugs. And I agree with him with that, that he said that. And then all of a sudden,
I disagree.
I'm just saying I agree with him. I didn't say, well, it's not for us to agree it's for me. I agree with Como when he said that, right? So the problem is the next thing I hear is that they're setting up shooting stations for people to take heroin. So one thing about the Chinese government is that we're not going to be saying we disagree with marijuana and then 2 months later we're agreeing with something else.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
You can get the heroin, but it's a safe place where you can do the heroin.
Right. But if you understand what I'm saying, Pat, is that what they're actually saying is that the politicians here change their minds as they go along. In China, they don't. When a politician settle on something, that's it. It doesn't get any better than that. That's all it is. You got to take them for face value. You're not gonna just have a guy saying, this month we don't agree with marijuana, and then next month we agree with it. It's not gonna work. It doesn't work like that. So that's why when you're saying that people should change the government, you can't. There's too many people there. Too many people. And if you have those...
Well, G, I disagree with your rationale as far as because they got so many people. You're saying that they should be able to be dictatorial.
No, I'm
That's
saying
all you say?
no. And you know what? No. And Chris, there's probably a better way to run the country. But for right now, you didn't think of a way. They haven't thought of a way, and I damn sure haven't thought of a way. So they're running the country so far. They're getting by. They seem to be doing pretty good to me. Let the people run their country the way they want to run it. I mean, I can't stop these. We can't speak on that.
I have no. I disagree. They're mistreating people, and and there's an injustice over there.
Who are they
There's injustice
mistreating?
everywhere.
Who are they mistreating? Because who are they mistreating?
They have a lot of human rights issues, and there are minority groups like the Fujianese in China. I have friends who are, when I went to school with, and when I studied, there are minority groups that they oppress. Just like
I didn't see it, Chris. I really didn't see it, and I've been all over the place there. I've been all over.
Do some research on do some research on the Fujianese people.
Chris, let me tell you what I do.
Have you been to Singapore?
Yes, I have.
FJ.
I've been to Singapore.
I was watching this podcast, Joe Rogan with Melissa Chen.
Mm-hmm.
She left Singapore when she was 17 to come to college over here because not just that she migrated because she didn't like the lack of freedom, but she said when she reached America, she thought she was in a third world country.
Mm-hmm. And it's true. And Pat, you've been to Singapore.
Yeah.
You're okay. Did you like Singapore, Pat?
The only thing she didn't like was the lack of freedom.
Pat, did you like Singapore?
I did because of the structure. I'll give you an example. What am I saying?
Prostitution is not legal any place. I just let you know that because I see you stuttering, so we don't have to talk about that. I'm joking.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. Go ahead. No, he's stuttering. He's like,
Depends on where you go. But anyway, so we would go to a restaurant or something like that, and you would put your stuff, whether it be your wallet or your cell phone or something, on a table.
Call from Micah.
Or your cell phone or whatever you left at the table was still there. Like crime, there's not much crime there. They say you can't, as far as eating on the subway, you can't do it. It's like a $25,000 fine or something like that. Basically, there's a little bit more structure. You don't. What I say is you don't have a lot of freedom. I mean, there are people there are kids playing in the park. There were events. There were, people on the beach, people on the streets enjoying themselves. As far as, I guess, scratching the surface, it seems ideal to me. It seems safe and it seems clean.
And one important factor I would like to point out that you said was this. If the country is 80% Asian, 10% black, 5% Hispanic, and 5% whatever, she said every living complex that the government make up for people to live in has to follow that same formula. You have to have the same amount.
Yes.
So everybody get along with each other. And
Yes.
it's a law that you have to
Yes,
give everybody
that's true.
respect.
That is
Yeah.
true. That is true. And let me say one more thing, Chris. Now, we have racism here, openly racism. I'm not saying that whether racist or not, I never seen it. And I even in Singapore, I didn't see racism. And
It's
Pat,
illegal to be racist over there.
very illegal, right? But I'm saying, I'm sure some people, I never seen it. So all these new things that you're telling me,
It's part of the government mandate.
and
Everybody as equal.
and these guys will tell you, I don't listen. I don't really care about doing the research. I'll get on a plane and I'll go in a second. That's just what I do. You tell me such and such, and I want to check it out. I'm gonna go. I don't care about something because before I got to China, I've heard people telling me about how racist it is. I got there, I didn't see it. Before I got to Singapore, same thing. And Singapore is nice and clean.
Right.
Extremely clean. Not a bunch of cops chasing you down or telling you this and like you don't have any freedom. It's the same. They had the same concept. China and Singapore got the same concept, just that China got a hell of a lot more people. That's it. So I don't know what you heard. Get on that plane and go, and you'll see. You might change your mind about the place.
And they say everybody works. She said everybody
I just said that. Everybody works. Everybody works.
Even there were people that they would come up and they would beg for $1 or so, but it's kind of they weren't begging. They would sell you stuff like little trinkets.
Well, that's not begging. Why would you say that's begging? That's not begging. That's trying to sell something. That's not begging.
But at the same time, it's not.
Use the right word, brother.
All right, I can see that.
That's not begging. Somebody's trying to sell you something. They're not begging. Because I didn't see anybody begging in Singapore. Not one. As a matter of fact, I think it's illegal to beg in those places. You can't. So you're seeing people trying to sell you stuff. Yes,